My wife was cheating on me in our own house. Her shameless lover liked to swim in the pool while I was at work. So, I put a little surprise in the water. When he dove in, that's where my mind always starts replaying. Like a busted tape recorder stuck on the worst moment of your life. You ever get hit so hard in the gut that you can't even breathe? Just was like some broken accordion. That's what betrayal feels like when it slams you out of nowhere. Her name is Melissa Carter. On the outside, she was the perfect suburban wife. Smiles for the neighbors, yoga pants, and morning smoothies. Little fake kisses before Jason Miller, left for the office. If you asked anyone on Maplewood Drive, they'd tell you Melissa was sweet as sugar pie. But sugar rots your teeth. It all started with the pool. I work late. Sales, always grinding. Always chasing numbers. And Melissa insisted we needed a pool to relax together. Funny thing, I barely touched that pool, but apparently, someone else enjoyed it very much. Bradley Thompson, of all people. The gym trainer type with a spray tan, shaved chest, and that stupid smirk. He was the kind of guy who thought flexing counted as a personality. And yet, there he was lounging in my pool like he owned the damn house. The first time I noticed something was off, Melissa started acting slippery. She'd laugh too hard at her phone, then flip it over like it burned her hand the second I walked in the room. She suddenly had Pilates 3 nights a week, even though she used to complain Pilates was boring. New lingerie showed up in her drawer too. Stuff I never saw on her, never felt. That should have been my red flag, but I was blind, too damn trusting. Then came the day everything snapped. I left work early after my meeting got canceled. I wanted to surprise her. Maybe take her out, try to reignite that flame I thought we still had. Pulling into the driveway, I noticed music blasting from the backyard. Not her kind of music either, rock, loud, sweaty stuff. My stomach sank. I crept through the side gate, heart pounding. And there it was. Melissa sitting by the pool, sunglasses on, sipping a margarita like a damn queen, while Bradley did laps in the water. My water. The house I killed myself to pay for. She laughed at his dumb jokes, reached out to touch his wet shoulder, and I swear my vision blurred red. For a second, I couldn't move. My brain kept screaming, this can't be real. Not her. Not my wife. But it was real. Too real. She was leaning in, whispering something in his ear, and his hand slipped onto her thigh. My own backyard was a stage for betrayal, and I was the audience nobody invited. I wanted to storm out right then, scream, throw him out, demand answers. But something inside me snapped colder than rage. I didn't want to fight. I wanted justice. Silent, humiliating justice. And that's when the idea crawled into my mind, wicked, sharp, unstoppable. The pool. If Bradley loved my pool so much, let him really enjoy it. That night, while Melissa was meeting her friend Stephanie. Translation. God knows where with Bradley, I slipped outside and poured a bottle of industrial-strength dye into the water. Neon blue. Supposed to expose anyone who relieved themselves in the pool. But that wasn't its only trick. It clung to skin and wouldn't wash off for days. The next morning, I kissed Melissa goodbye, pretending everything was normal. Inside, I was boiling but calm, like a storm waiting for thunder. I went to work but couldn't focus. My hands trembled with anticipation. When I came home early, again, Melissa was upstairs, pretending to be on a conference call. But I already knew. The sound of splashing outside confirmed it. I peeked through the blinds. There he was, Bradley, diving headfirst into my trap. And that's where the story really begins. You ever feel like your gut already knows the truth before your brain admits it? That's what discovery is like. It's not one lightning strike. It's a series of smaller shocks, each one frying a little piece of your soul until you can't deny it anymore. After that first sight of Bradley in my pool, I couldn't unsee it. Every laugh Melissa gave, every text she typed too quickly, every late-night Pilates class turned into a flashing siren in my head. The woman I married was a damn stranger, and I started watching her like a hawk. Melissa used to be predictable. She'd leave her phone on the counter, face up, no problem. Suddenly, it was glued to her hand, even in the bathroom. She even started putting it under her pillow at night. I tried to tell myself I was imagining it, but lies have a way of dripping through the cracks like acid. One night, after she fell asleep, I slipped my hand under the pillow and slid the phone out. My hands were sweating so bad I nearly dropped it. The screen lit up, locked, of course. She had changed her password, something she'd never done before. That was my second red flag. The third came the next morning when she casually lied to my face. "Going to Stephanie's," she chirped, throwing on her yoga pants. But here's the thing. Stephanie had moved to Texas 3 months earlier. I knew it. Melissa didn't. Or maybe she just thought I was too stupid to remember. I started my own little investigation. Not some amateur one either. I went full detective. Checked receipts in the trash, mileage on her car, even the way her perfume lingered when she came home late. She smelled like sweat and chlorine, not Pilates. And I'll never forget the day I spotted Bradley's car. His big, obnoxious black Dodge Charger, parked 2 blocks away from my house. Not in front, not even on our street. He thought he was slick, hiding it. That was when I knew for sure. Still, a man can't live on suspicion alone. I needed proof. Hard, undeniable proof. So I set a trap. At work, I told Melissa I had a business trip coming up, 2 nights away. Her eyes lit up too fast, like a kid on Christmas morning. She tried to cover it with fake concern. "Oh, Jason, so sudden? That's too bad." But I saw the flicker. She wasn't sad. She was thrilled. The trip was nothing more than me parking 2 streets away, waiting. I sat in my car, sweating, gripping the steering wheel, replaying every memory of us. Our wedding vows, the night we brought our daughter Emma home from the hospital. Every lie I now realized she had been telling for months. Sure enough, 20 minutes after I left, a familiar figure strolled up the driveway. Bradley, carrying a gym bag, looking around like some bargain bin spy. He rang the bell, and my wife opened the door wearing nothing but a robe. A robe I bought her last Christmas. My vision went red again, but I forced myself to stay still. For 2 hours, I sat there in silence, rage boiling through my veins, while my wife entertained her lover in the house I paid for. I could have kicked the door down right then, but no, I wanted the truth to crush her under its weight. That's when I remembered the cameras. See, Melissa thought our home security system was just for show, but I had the app on my phone. I tapped into the living room feed, and there it was. Undeniable, soul-crushing proof. Melissa curled up on the couch with Bradley, laughing, touching him, feeding him strawberries like some dime store romance scene. She looked alive in a way she hadn't looked with me in years. That cut deeper than a knife. But here's what broke me the most. It wasn't just the cheating. It was how natural she looked with him, like she'd been rehearsing this role for months. When Bradley left later that night, I drove home like a man possessed. Melissa was waiting in the kitchen, hair damp from a shower, pretending to read a magazine. She smiled when she saw me, that fake smile, and said, "How was your trip?" My jaw clenched so hard I thought my teeth would crack. The bile of her lie burned in my throat. I didn't answer. I just stared at her, memorizing every line on her face, every twitch of her mouth. That was the moment I stopped being blind. The truth wasn't creeping anymore. It was standing in front of me, bold and ugly, and I knew the confrontation was coming. The night I finally confronted Melissa is burned into my memory like a brand. You don't forget the moment your whole marriage collapses. Not when every word tastes like poison and every breath feels like shards of glass in your lungs. She was sitting at the kitchen island, flipping through her phone with that fake casualness women use when they don't want you to know they're hiding something. I could see her reflection in the glass of the oven door, and she was smirking at the screen. My stomach twisted. I'd had enough. "Melissa," I said flatly. My voice wasn't loud. It was worse, it was cold. The kind of cold that makes a liar squirm. She jumped a little, shoved her phone face down, and gave me that fake innocent smile. "Jason, you're back early. Again." "Yeah," I said, stepping closer. Business trip got cut short. Imagine that. Her eyes flickered, just for a second, but it was enough. I'd watched her too long not to notice the tells, the little cracks in her act. She folded her arms like a teenager caught sneaking out. "What's with the tone?" she asked, her voice sharp, defensive. "You sound paranoid." Paranoid. That word lit me on fire. That's the trick of a liar. Make the truth sound crazy. My fists clenched, but I kept my voice even. "Who's Bradley?" Her face froze. 1 beat, 2 beats. Then she laughed. Actually laughed in my face. "Oh my God, Jason. Really? That's your big question? Bradley is just a friend from the gym." I slammed my hand on the counter so hard the wine glass beside her rattled. "Don't play me, Melissa. I've seen him. In my house. In my pool. With you." Her smile twisted, something darker flashing across her face. For the first time, she dropped the mask. "So what if you saw him? Maybe if you were around more, I wouldn't need a friend." There it was. The knife between the ribs. Not an apology. Not even a denial. Just straight up blame like I was the problem. "You needed a friend?" I barked, my chest heaving. "A friend doesn't sneak into my house the minute I leave. A friend doesn't screw around with a married woman." She rolled her eyes like I was boring her. "Lower your voice. You sound pathetic right now. Always playing the victim. Maybe if you weren't so obsessed with work. Maybe if you didn't let yourself go. Maybe if you actually knew how to touch a woman, I wouldn't have to." "Stop." I cut her off, my voice shaking. "Don't you dare put this on me. I gave you everything. The house. The life. That pool you let him swim in. All of it. I broke my back for us. And you repay me like this?" She smirked, leaning back on the stool like a queen on her throne. "Jason, please. Don't act like you're some martyr. You work late because you like playing the hero at the office. You love the grind more than you love me. Don't blame me because you weren't enough." That sentence. You weren't enough. Cut me deeper than any blade. My knees almost buckled, but I held on, clenching the counter until my knuckles turned white. "I wasn't enough?" I repeated slowly. "Or he was just easier?" She didn't answer. She didn't need to. The smug silence said everything. I pulled out my phone, opened the security app, and spun it toward her. The footage lit the screen. Her and Bradley on the couch, strawberries, laughter, her lips on his shoulder. I shoved it in her face. "Explain that," I growled. For the first time, her smirk faltered. Her lips parted, and for a moment I thought she'd finally break. But then she laughed again, hollow, mean, dripping with venom. "Wow, you really sat there watching us? That's sick, Jason. You're the creep here, not me." I felt my chest cave in. She wasn't even sorry. Not a tear, not a flinch. Just cruel mockery, as if I was the fool for catching her. "You're unbelievable," I whispered, more to myself than to her. "No, Jason," she said, standing now, towering with that smugness that made my blood boil. "You're unbelievable. Still clinging to some fantasy marriage that died years ago. Face it, you lost me a long time ago. Bradley just showed me what a real man is." That broke me. I didn't scream. I didn't hit anything. I just felt something inside me snap clean in half, like a tree in a storm. The woman I thought I knew, the woman I promised forever to, was gone. Replaced by this venomous stranger. I stared at her one last time, memorizing the cruel tilt of her lips, the fire in her eyes, the sheer disrespect dripping from every word. And I knew there was no going back. The confrontation was over. The war had just begun. When the shouting ended, there was silence so thick it pressed against my chest like a weight. Melissa stormed upstairs, muttering something about me being pathetic, but her voice was just static in my ears. The house felt colder than ever before. Our house, the place I thought was my fortress, had turned into a crime scene. I sat at the kitchen island, staring at the half-empty wine glass she'd left behind, the lipstick stain still clinging to the rim. It was the same deep red shade she wore on our 10th anniversary dinner. Back then, that lipstick had meant passion, love, fire. Now it was just proof of a lie, a smear of betrayal taunting me under the kitchen light. I can't even describe what betrayal does to a man. It's not just pain. It's confusion, humiliation, rage, and grief all crashing together like a storm at sea. One minute I wanted to smash everything in sight, rip the cabinets off the walls, throw that wine glass against the window until it shattered into 1,000 pieces. The next minute, I just wanted to curl up in the corner and cry like a child. But I didn't cry. Not yet. Instead, I poured myself a drink. Whiskey. Straight. The burn in my throat felt better than the ache in my chest. I stared at the counter and replayed her words over and over. Maybe if you weren't so obsessed with work, maybe if you knew how to touch a woman, you weren't enough. Those words cut deeper than the sight of her with Bradley, because they made me question everything. Had I failed her? Had I wasted years grinding at the office while she starved for something else? But then the anger snapped me back. No, damn it. I wasn't the one who opened the door to another man. I wasn't the one lying every night, smiling in my face while sneaking around behind my back. She had choices. She chose betrayal. That realization brought tears to my eyes. Finally. Hot, unwanted, burning tears. My hands trembled, the whiskey glass slipping and clinking on the counter. I buried my face in my palms and let out a sound I didn't even recognize. Half growl, half sob. The worst part wasn't even her disrespect. It was how small I felt. Like a man stripped of dignity. Imagine working your whole life to build something. A family, a marriage, a home. Only to find out it was all built on sand, and the tide had come to wash it away. That's the humiliation. Everyone in this damn neighborhood probably saw Bradley's car. Everyone probably suspected. Except me. I was the fool, the last to know. Sleep? Forget it. That night I lay in bed beside her. Both of us staring at the ceiling, miles apart. She didn't even bother pretending. Didn't reach for me. Didn't apologize. Just turned her back like I was a stranger. I could smell her hair, that expensive shampoo I paid for, and it made me sick. I tossed and turned, rage gnawing at me, until I finally got up and paced the hallway. The house felt haunted. Every photo on the wall mocked me, our wedding, our vacations, birthdays. Her smile in those pictures looked faker now. How many of those smiles were real? How many were just part of her act? By dawn, I was hollow. My body was exhausted, but my mind was racing. One second I was plotting revenge, imagining dragging Bradley out of my pool by his fake tan neck, or tossing Melissa's suitcase on the lawn. The next second, I was sinking into despair, wondering if maybe I should just forgive her, fight for her, cling to whatever scraps were left. That's what betrayal does. It tears your soul in two directions until you don't know which way is up. But through the fog, one truth burned clear. I could never look at her the same again. The next morning, I watched her brew coffee like nothing had happened. She hummed some tune, barefoot in her robe, acting like a devoted wife. The audacity of it nearly broke me all over again. "You want coffee?" she asked sweetly, turning with that fake smile. I stared at her, empty inside, and muttered, "I don't want anything from you." For the first time, her smile cracked. But she didn't apologize. She just rolled her eyes and muttered under her breath, "Drama queen." That's when the sadness curdled into something sharper. This wasn't just betrayal. This was war. And I knew I had to make decisions. The morning after the confrontation, I sat in my car for an hour before driving to work. Not because I was early, but because I couldn't decide if I even had a life worth showing up for anymore. My hands were gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles looked bleached. The radio was on, but I didn't hear a damn thing. My mind kept looping. Do I stay? Do I fight? Do I walk? Every option felt like a knife. Option 1. Stay and pretend. Swallow the humiliation. Patch up the cracks. Pretend Melissa hadn't turned our home into her playground. That's what some men do. They bite their tongue for the sake of family, for the illusion of stability. But I couldn't picture myself kissing her forehead knowing Bradley's lips had been there hours before. I couldn't imagine lying in bed beside her, listening to her fake breaths, knowing she had given herself to someone else. Staying would mean killing myself slowly, piece by piece. Option 2, divorce. Rip it all apart, start over. But divorce isn't clean. Divorce is messy, bloody, expensive. It drags your soul through the mud while lawyers pick at the carcass of what used to be your life. And we had Emma, our little girl. She was 8. Innocent. Bright. Full of questions. How do you explain to your daughter that mommy's a liar? That daddy can't live in the same house with her anymore? Divorce felt like another betrayal, only this time it would scar her, too. Option 3, revenge. That one tasted sweet in my mouth, bitter in my chest. I imagined Bradley's face smashed into the concrete, his smug smile dripping blood. I imagined Melissa's lies torn apart in front of her friends, her family, everyone she'd been fooling. I imagined setting fire to the whole damn fantasy she'd built. But revenge is a fire that eats everything, including the man who lights it. I'd lose myself in it and maybe even lose Emma in the crossfire. So I sat in that car, torn to shreds, paralyzed between choices. That night, I tried to test the waters. Over dinner. Chicken she barely seasoned, eaten in silence. I said, "Melissa, maybe we should see a counselor." She didn't even look up, just scoffed. "Counselor? Jason, please. That's for people who still care. You don't even know how to talk to me, and now you want to pay some stranger to fix us?" I stared at her across the table, the woman I'd once sworn my life to, and realized she wasn't even willing to fight for us. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't ashamed. She was done, only too cowardly to admit it outright. Later that night, I went outside to clear my head. The pool glimmered under the patio lights, that silent witness to all the betrayal. I stood there staring at it, imagining Bradley's smug face diving into the neon blue trap I'd set days before. That memory almost made me smile. Almost. And then something inside me shifted. It wasn't rage anymore, it was clarity. Melissa was never going to be the woman I married again. That version of her was dead, buried somewhere under layers of lies. I couldn't resurrect her. I couldn't beg her back. And truthfully, I didn't want to anymore. So I made my decision. Divorce. Cold, clean, final. It wouldn't be easy. She'd fight dirty, I knew it. She'd spin stories, maybe even use Emma as a pawn. But I couldn't rot inside this house one more day. If I stayed, I'd end up a shell of a man, or worse, a monster who let his rage spill onto the wrong people. The next morning, I called a lawyer. His name was Daniel Harris, recommended by a colleague who'd gone through his own hell. Daniel listened quietly as I explained, his pen scratching notes on a yellow pad. When I mentioned the footage, he nodded slowly and said, "That's strong. Very strong. You'll want to keep that safe." After the call, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Control. Small, fragile, but real. Like I had a weapon in my hands instead of just wounds. When Melissa came downstairs, sipping her green smoothie like she was starring in a commercial, I looked at her differently. Not as my wife. Not even as my enemy. But as a stranger I was finally ready to evict from my life. She noticed the look and raised an eyebrow. "What?" she asked, smirking. "Nothing," I said calmly. "Absolutely nothing." Inside, though, the war had shifted. I wasn't just broken anymore. I was rebuilding. Filing for divorce is like lighting a fuse. You don't know how long it is or how loud the explosion will be, but you know the blast is coming. I didn't tell Melissa right away. I wanted to have everything in order first, papers ready, lawyer lined up, evidence locked down. I wasn't going to march into battle unarmed. But she could smell it on me, the shift. My silence wasn't weak anymore. It was sharp. My eyes weren't pleading anymore. They were cold. And Melissa hated it. She thrived on control, on making me feel small, guilty, desperate. When I stopped feeding her ego, she went for the jugular. It started with little digs. "You look tired, Jason. Stress getting to you?" she'd say, smirking over her smoothie. Or, "Don't forget, this is my house too. You can't just stomp around like you own the place." Funny thing was, I did own the place. My name was on the mortgage. But in her twisted mind, my money, my sweat, my sacrifice, all of it belonged to her. Then came the bigger jabs. One night, she deliberately left her phone face up on the counter. A text from Bradley glowing across the screen. Can't wait to see you again, babe. She looked right at me while pretending to chop vegetables, waiting for my reaction. I didn't give her one. I just walked past, poured myself a drink, and kept my mouth shut. That infuriated her more than any shouting match could. The next day, she escalated. I came home to find Bradley's sunglasses sitting on the coffee table. Not hidden, not forgotten, placed there like a trophy. When I picked them up, she strolled in from the kitchen with a grin. "Oh, did you find those? He must have left them here." "Don't be so dramatic, Jason. It's just sunglasses." "Just sunglasses," I repeated, my jaw tightening. "In my living room." "Don't be so territorial," she said breezily. "You act like a dog guarding a bone. It's pathetic." Pathetic. That word again. She knew it cut me, so she wielded it like a knife. But I didn't bite. I had a bigger picture in mind. The papers were being drawn up, and I wasn't about to give her ammo in court by losing control. Then, one Saturday, she went nuclear. I came back from running errands, groceries in hand, and there he was, Bradley, in my pool again, dripping water across the deck like he owned it. Melissa sat nearby in a bikini, sipping wine, laughing at something he said. She didn't even flinch when I walked in. "Jason," she called out, fake bright. "Brad's helping me with some exercises. Fitness stuff. You could join us if you want." Bradley smirked, not even bothering to get out of the pool. "Hey, man." I dropped the grocery bags on the ground. Eggs cracked, oranges rolled across the tiles. My hands curled into fists, but I forced myself to breathe. "This is my house," I said slowly, my voice trembling with contained rage. "Get out, now." Melissa rolled her eyes. "Oh, grow up, Jason. Stop being so insecure. He's my friend." Bradley climbed out of the pool, water dripping down his bronzed body, and had the audacity to say, "Relax, man. No harm done. No harm done." Those words almost pushed me over the edge. But I didn't swing. I didn't scream. I just looked him dead in the eye and said, "This will be the last time you step foot on this property. Next time, the cops will be waiting." Melissa burst out laughing, loud and cruel. "Oh my God, Jason. You sound ridiculous. You think you can just call the cops because I have company? Pathetic." That word again. Always that damn word. I didn't answer. I just turned and walked inside, slamming the door behind me. My heart was hammering, my hands shaking, but I knew I'd won something small in that moment. I hadn't given her the scene she wanted. I hadn't cracked. Later that night, when Bradley was gone, Melissa stormed into the bedroom. "You're not scaring me with your little threats," she spat. "If you think you can control me, you're insane. You're nothing, Jason. Nothing. Without me, you're just some boring salesman. Do you really think anyone cares about you?" Her words hit like bullets, but I didn't let her see the blood. I just looked at her with that same cold stare and said, "We'll see what the judge thinks." For the first time, her face shifted. Just slightly. A flicker of doubt, of fear. And in that flicker, I knew the fallout was just beginning. When the divorce papers were finally served, Melissa's reaction wasn't tears, wasn't regret. It was laughter. Loud, ugly, mocking laughter that echoed through the kitchen like broken glass. "You really think this will scare me?" she sneered, waving the papers like they were junk mail. "Jason, you don't have the balls to follow through. You're just trying to bluff as usual. Pathetic." There it was again. Pathetic. Her favorite word, her weapon of choice. If she thought I'd crumble, she was wrong. "I'm done, Melissa," I said firmly. "This marriage is over. You killed it, and I'm not living in your circus anymore." But Melissa wasn't about to go quietly. No, she went for the nuclear option: money, reputation, even Emma. The very next week, she froze our joint account. Thousands of dollars I'd earned with sweat and sleepless nights. Gone, locked up, as if she owned it. I had to call my lawyer just to access enough cash to keep the lights on. When I confronted her, she smirked and said, "Guess you should have thought about that before trying to play tough guy." Then she started spinning stories. Suddenly, I was the bad husband, the cold provider who neglected her. To her friends, She painted me as some workaholic robot who never gave her affection. To her mother, I was an angry tyrant who scared her. And the worst, she hinted to her lawyer that maybe I wasn't a fit father. That one almost broke me. Emma was my heart, my reason for breathing. I tucked her in every night, packed her lunches, sat through her school plays even when Melissa forgot. And now Melissa dared to use her as a pawn. One night, I overheard Melissa on the phone with her friend. Jason thinks he can take Emma from me. Please, the judge will laugh in his face. I stood in the hallway, fists trembling, nails digging into my palms until they bled. I wanted to storm in, scream, break the phone in half. But I didn't. Instead, I walked away and called my lawyer. Daniel told me, "Keep calm, Jason. The court doesn't care about shouting matches. They care about evidence. And you have it. Don't give her ammunition." So I played it smart. While Melissa tried to provoke me, I documented everything. Every lie, every time she left Emma alone to sneak off with Bradley, every cruel insult she spat. I kept my cool in front of Emma, never badmouthed her mother, no matter how badly I wanted to. I wasn't going to drag my daughter through the mud. But Melissa kept escalating. One evening, I came home to find Bradley's car parked boldly in the driveway. He was inside, feet up on my coffee table, sipping beer straight from my fridge. Melissa sat beside him, smirking like a cat with cream. "Get out," I growled. Bradley chuckled. "Relax, man. Melissa invited me. This is her house too, right?" I looked at Melissa, searching for even a flicker of shame. Nothing. She just smirked wider and said, "He's right. You don't control me. Not anymore." It took everything in me not to drag Bradley out by his throat. But I remembered Daniel's words, "Don't give her ammunition." So I just pulled out my phone and snapped a picture. "What the hell are you doing?" Melissa snapped. "Collecting evidence," I said calmly, pocketing the phone. "Keep this up. The judge will love it." For the first time, Bradley looked nervous. He muttered something about leaving and slipped out the door. Melissa glared at me, fury blazing in her eyes. "You think you're so clever, Jason. You're not. You'll regret this." Maybe I would. But in that moment, I finally felt like I had the upper hand. Still, the toll was brutal. Nights alone, the bed cold, my chest hollow, whiskey bottles piling up, my mind a carousel of rage, grief, and exhaustion. Every time Emma asked, "Daddy, why are you and Mommy fighting?" it felt like a knife twisting deeper. The break wasn't just the divorce papers, it was inside me, too. A fracture that would never fully heal. But as painful as it was also freedom. Melissa's mask was off. The bitchiness wasn't hidden anymore. The world could finally see what I'd been living with. And for the first time in years, I had clarity. The marriage was dead. All that was left was survival. Divorce is a strange kind of death. It doesn't happen in an instant like a car crash or a heart attack. It's slower, drawn out, with every signature, every lawyer call, every court date cutting another piece away until there's nothing left but a hollow version of the life you once knew. By the time the ink dried on the papers, Melissa was gone from my life in every way that mattered. She got her settlement, she got half the house money. She got to walk away without ever admitting she was wrong. But she didn't get me anymore. Not the man she mocked, not the man she lied to, not the man she tried to break. And for that, I count it as a win. The first few weeks after she left were brutal. The silence in the house was deafening. No footsteps, no clinking wine glass, no fake laughter. Just me, my thoughts, and a pool I couldn't even look at without feeling sick. Every corner of the house reminded me of her. The robe hanging in the bathroom, the throw pillows she picked out, the wedding photos I couldn't bring myself to take down yet. But slowly, the silence became a kind of healing. I stopped waiting for her to walk in the door, stopped bracing myself for her sarcasm. Instead, I started breathing again. Emma was my anchor. My little girl needed me, and I refused to let Melissa's poison infect her. I picked her up from school, helped with homework, sat through dance recitals. Every time Melissa tried to badmouth me, Emma would come back confused. asking, "Daddy, why does mommy say mean things about you?" I'd kneel down, hold her hand, and say, "Because mommy's upset, sweetie. But don't you worry, daddy loves you more than anything." That love kept me sane. Looking back now, what hits hardest isn't just the betrayal, it's the disrespect. Melissa didn't just cheat. She lied with a smile, mocked me in my own house, and tried to twist the knife every chance she got. She wanted me broken, crawling, begging. But instead, I walked away. Scarred, yes, but still standing. There's a lesson in that. A brutal one, but real. If someone shows you who they are, believe them. Don't wait for the mask to slip. Don't make excuses. Don't cling to some fantasy of who they used to be. Melissa was gone long before Bradley ever dipped his toes in my pool. I just refused to see it. I learned another truth too. Betrayal doesn't define you. At first, I thought her cheating meant I wasn't enough, that I had failed as a husband, as a man. But the more distance I got, the clearer it became. Her choice said nothing about me and everything about her. Her emptiness, her selfishness, her cowardice. Would I do things differently if I could go back? Maybe. I might have confronted her sooner. Maybe walked away the moment I saw the signs. But regret is a heavy chain, and I've carried enough weight already. What matters is that I didn't let her destroy me completely. So here's my advice to any man reading this. Any poor bastard who feels that same gut punch of betrayal I did. Don't beg. Don't bargain. Don't lose yourself trying to fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed. Gather your proof, stand tall, and walk away with your dignity intact. Rage will tempt you. Revenge will whisper in your ear. But the sweetest revenge is survival. Living well. Proving to yourself and the world that you are more than the lies they told. And if she tries to make you feel small, if she spits that word, pathetic, like Melissa did to me over and over, remember this: the only pathetic thing is a person who destroys what they already had in search of something meaningless. That's not strength. That's weakness. It's been months now since the dust settled. The pool is drained, the furniture rearranged, the photos taken down. The house finally feels like mine again. Some nights, I still feel the sting, like a phantom limb. But then Emma runs in, laughing, asking me to chase her through the halls, and I realize I didn't lose everything. I lost Melissa, and that, in the long run, isn't a loss at all. It's freedom. So here I stand, bruised, scarred, but stronger. And if my story helps even one man see the truth sooner, hold his head higher, and walk away with his soul intact, then maybe this hell was worth something after all.